Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me in the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
I'm not dead.
Not yet, anyway. Our other co-host, Angela, will be joining us in a little bit. She's currently on her way home, so once she gets home, she'll be hopping on to join us and hang out as well. We want to thank all of you for tuning in. Thank you to our sponsors, Home Circle Media, for the latest and greatest in anime gear. Everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you by Triple S Lawn Care. If you're in the Raleigh-Durham area and you're looking for quality lawn care at a great price, reach out to Darren. He'll hook you up. But you got to act fast. Spaces are limited for customers.
Yep. Well, also now accepting fall cleanup, so leaves are finally falling. If you need your stuff done before the holidays, please let me know and let's get it on schedule.
Tonight, we are excited. We've got some amazing guests that are joining us. They are regulars we have on all the time because they're just, A, they're amazing people. B, they're good friends. And C, I just love promoting people. These guys are very hard workers at what they do. Of course, Hatake and Sahara, the cosplaying twins, amazing cosplayers, and also Kayaa Tanuu, talented VTuber who has been a little bit away from the VTubing world due to personal life, work, exhaustion, stuff of that nature. But I am so happy and excited to welcome all of you back onto the show.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Good evening, Ross. I hope you're doing good out in the chat world. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. This is going to be a fun, like I said, it's going to be a fun show. I want to start off talking about, now, I've talked in the past many times about another anime convention. Unfortunately, having moved to Pennsylvania, I'm not able to attend it as often as I would like to. But all three of you were at AAC this year. And Rob, you were sending me updates throughout the weekend of, it was busier than it had been in years past. But what did you think of your time at AAC, and how did it feel compared to years previous?
It was definitely busier than years previous. It was nice actually seeing people this year. The last few years, no one's really been there that I'm known. So it's been kind of hard. But this year I was able to meet up with a few friends I haven't seen in a long time.
And I know Hatake and Sahara, you guys wore a different hat at AAC than you had in years past. Instead of being in the masquerade, you wore the judge's cap. What was that experience like to go from a competitor to a judge?
Yeah. So it was interesting. It was definitely interesting to be on the different side of the table. We have obviously competed all around the East Coast area, particularly in New England. And when the convention invited us on as guests and as judges, we were super excited because it is, one of the local small cons, and we really enjoy our time there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You definitely there's different aspects of the con you see. There's different aspects of the competition you see when you're on the judge's side versus on the competitor side. It was a lot of fun to be able to participate in that, to be able to be on that side for the convention, and really learn as we went. We were with another judge there, Stars of Cassiopeia, who was amazing to work with. Absolutely loved working with her, and learning from her. She's very experienced in judging, so it was fun to really be able to be involved in the competition, as well on the masquerade side as the judges.
And what kind of criteria were you looking for? Because I know a lot of times I'll bring judges in, and one is more specifically looking for craftsmanship. One's more specifically looking at different aspects. What was it that you guys were focusing on?
So at AAC, the judges do both craftsmanship and the performance, so we were actually judging both of those. And AAC also only has 2 categories, so you have your novice and then your advanced category. So at other conventions, that advanced is kind of split into journeyman and masters, and then you have your novices. So there can be quite a spread when you have only 2. But it was great. Like it really made us think about the performance side of things as well as the craftsmanship side of things, because we were looking at both and judging both, and so it was definitely different, and like I said, we really enjoyed our time doing it.
And some comments coming in from the chat. Ross has a compliment to Rob saying that your model looks amazing.
Thank you.
Good Lord, what the heck was that? I think the cats just destroyed something.
Hopefully not your figures.
And hello, everybody.
Welcome back to Angela.
I haven't seen you in a month.
I know, right? And Gabrielle in the chat says, OMG, the Monster Hunter guys. So on that note, how's everybody doing?
Doing
Doing
good.
Doing good.
Yeah, AAC. I heard lots of good things from a lot of my friends. That was the weekend we left. So needless to say, we didn't go.
Yeah, I think Rob mentioned it as already, but AAC this year was the busiest I had seen it since it was in Manchester, I think. So it was busy. We being judges, we were kind of in a room judging cosplayers most of Friday evening and all day Saturday. So we didn't see as much of the convention as we normally do, but it was definitely hopping. There's more guests there than I've seen in a while, so it was good.
Oh, good.
That's great to hear that it's like coming back to life, because I know for a while when it was moving around from Manchester into Massachusetts, attendance went down. They had issues where they had to restrict the amount of people who could come. Of course, COVID hit, which hurt a lot of smaller cons, even some bigger cons. So it's nice to see that AAC is starting to come back to life, because it's always been a convention I've enjoyed going to. And Rob, you were talking about that, you hadn't seen it that busy in years. What was it like to going to trying to get into panels and stuff? Was there lines for panels and things like that again, or?
Yeah, there were lines. Like there was no parking spaces out. I saw people double parking on the sidewalk. I did see a couple cars get towed, so I don't know if anybody actually got towed.
Hopefully it wasn't too much of an issue. Apparently it wasn't you guys' cars, so you didn't have to worry.
No, it was not us. But yeah, as Rob mentioned, it was really busy. We got there about when we normally do on the Friday, and none of all of the front parking and all of the right hand of the building was completely full. We had to actually go to an opposite side of the building. We don't really have to. So it was really nice seeing how busy that convention was this year.
And they had some good guests too, if I remember correctly. I think Bryn April was there, which I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to go, because I've never met Bryn in person, but she's been a guest on the show a few times.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, I think there were 6 industry guests who were there, and they were all great. They all ran panels. They were all in the dealer's room. They kind of rearranged how the dealer's room was so that all the voice actors were in one corner, so you could stand in the corner and interact with every single voice actor if you wanted to, which was cool. But yeah, it was definitely busy. Time of day and panel location. I think mattered a lot. Our group, the Cosplay Collective New England, had a couple of different panels that they were putting on that we were not a part of because we were judging. So they put it on without us, but they, depending on what time of day and who else is running panels, really depends on how many people you see. But I saw some panels were packed, and other panels there were like 3 or 4 people. So it really depended, but that's normal for that convention.
I was gonna say that sounds about normal. It depends on what the topic is of the panel as to how many people are gonna go. A panel about K-pop or school idols or something like that, it's probably going to attract more people than a podcast panel in some cases, depending on how popular the podcast panel is. And I'm just saying that because I know from experience that I've done panels at conventions where I've had 5 people in the room. Or you go to Anime Boston and you're the first panel of the weekend and you've got like 75 to 100 people in there and you're like, oh my God. And then I get followed by you guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I did a panel at Boston. But yeah, panel topic always makes a big change in the as well as, if there are 5 panel rooms and 3 of them have voice actors on them, that's where most of the people are going to be, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was good. We only got to go to panels on Sunday because Sunday, the masquerade's over, so we were free. The only panel we were actually a part of was actually on Sunday because for the first time, I think ever, AAC did a judges feedback panel. So ourselves and Stars of Cassiopeia were there doing judge feedback, which was a lot of fun. And we got to interact with the contestants, the cosplayers who were competing a lot more than we would if we're just like, okay, you got 5 minutes, come in, we're going to judge you, we're going to ask you a couple of questions, then we're going to send you on your way. We got to really have a lot more in-depth conversation, which was really enjoyable. And I think everyone who was at the judges feedback panel really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, some of the most fun for us, even when we're not judging, is interacting with other cosplayers and with the judging aspect and doing that judges panel. We did about 30 minutes of just like general feedback, and then it was one-on-one time where people got to come up and chat with us, and Cass and ourselves being able to give them, here's things you did really well, here's things you should work on, here's something you should learn, and just really trying to help them improve, because that's what we always want. Whether we're competing against them or whether we're judging them, we want everybody to be as good as they can be. And so that's a lot of the fun on the judging side, is being able to have those conversations with the competitors.
That sounds like a really, really cool aspect. I don't know of any other con that I've heard of that's done a judges feedback panel. I granted, you guys have competed a lot more than I have. And Darren, I don't know if you've seen it down in your area, any like cosplay feedback panels after the masquerade.
Nope. I can't say I have.
But
I know there's feedback panels, but I don't remember if the cosplay ones got a thing. I know they have like an overall feedback panel for all panelists. It's called Building a Better Panelist. But other than that, I'm trying to remember if we really have any feedback for the cosplay or anything like that. I would have to look.
And Rob, were you able to go to a bunch of panels that you wanted to hit up, or did they have any VTuber panels or anything of that nature?
I was going to do the 14 panel. I took a nap and I overslept. I was very angry when I woke up. But other than that, that's the only panel I was going to go to. And then I passed out right before the the masquerade too, so I wasn't able to go to that.
Oh man, it means you missed all the handiwork of Hatake and Sahara.
I did.
I will say the AAC masquerade this year was very good. We there were a lot of really good cosplayers and a lot of really good skits. So it was nice to actually be involved with the masquerade when they had such a good show this year.
Gabrielle in the chat says Anime Boston did one-on-one, but it only lasted an hour, so not many cosplays got in.
Yeah, Anime Boston this year did it for the first time. It wasn't announced very well. We kind of heard it secondhand. But Anime New York City does one-on-one feedback, and has been for a while. And it's probably for anyone who competes in the masquerade, anytime a convention does one-on-one feedback sessions with the judges, make it a priority to go. It's some of the best feedback you ever get. It's way more informative than the judges' notes that often get sent out if you request them. So yeah, if you compete, absolutely try to get in to those one-on-one sessions if they're available.
And Ross in the chat says, shout out to the amazing actor Tony Todd, who unfortunately passed away yesterday. He had played in the horror movie Candyman. So
you know what? Circling back to something Rob said, one of the things we did in Japan was the Square Enix Cafe, and in the gift shop there was a lot of merch from Final Fantasy XIV.
That doesn't surprise me.
Nope.
So lucky.
There was there were a lot of like the different just different things, including music boxes from some of the songs and things like that. But that's one of the things we actually spent some time looking at, was the Square Enix Cafe store.
And you also, I saw in some of your posts, you got to have a really extravagant dinner.
Yeah, we did a lot of things.
That dinner looked way too fancy for something I would do. I'm not gonna lie.
We did do a fancy dinner. We did a couple of those. We also did McDonald's and Taco Bell.
Well, I'm not saying that like you went out there, you were rich and fancy. I was just saying that is like I don't even know that that's something I would have even thought of doing.
And that's 100% fair. At some point, what I do need to do is go through the pictures that were posted and post them so that the people who follow the show can see. But haven't gotten around to doing that yet because this week was 100% playing catch up with work and life and all the things.
Understandable, coming back from Japan for 2 weeks and trying to figure everything else out. I know Hatake and Sahara, you also were at Anime-Zing this weekend and had a few panels there. What was Anime-Zing like for you?
Anime was different. We had never been to Anime before, and Sahara was there longer than I was because I was teaching all day Friday, and so I did not arrive to the con until like 5 p.m. Friday night, and we had a panel at 6, which was our How Cosplay Ruined Our Life panel, where we had a few people attend, and then we kind of retired after that because we were all very tired and very hungry and looking for food. So Sahara, you can talk about it a little bit more because you were there on Friday.
Yeah, so we had a total of 3 panels we put on. our first one was a new one that was developed by Raphael Cosplay, who's one of the members of Cosplay Collective podcast that we're a part of. And so her and Skull from Haiti and Skull's Creations and myself did a panel called Imposter Syndrome and Cosplay. It was kind of looking at a psychological point of the effects of cosplay and what it's like to cosplay when if you have the feeling of being inferior or being an imposter competing in these things. So it was a new run through for us. Unfortunately, that was right after like opening ceremony on a Friday on a very small convention. So there was not very many people at the con at the time. We've never been to Anime before. We knew it was a small convention. I've been to really tiny conventions before. This was probably the smallest 3-day convention I've ever been to. And so it's like, oh yeah. Friday afternoon is not the best time slot for doing a panel, just because there wasn't a lot of people there. But it was still a good experience for us and presenting the panel, and the staff and everyone was friendly. And we did have an attendee who was going to be putting on their own panel and had never done one before, so we chatted with them for a bit. Then we had our How Cosplay Ruined Our Lives panel, which is kind of stories about things we've experienced as cosplayers, stupid injuries I've gotten from making cosplays and things like that. And then Saturday, we did how the armor making panel that we've done at Boston AAC before. Overall, it was good. Like Hatake said, we didn't spend a lot of time. We only went for 2 days. We were also there doing other things, so we were in and out of the convention a lot. So we didn't really get to see too much of it, but it was definitely not having been to a convention that small in a very long time. I was like, oh yeah, that's what these are like. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was supposed to actually go up for the show, but what ended up happening was between a whole lot of work things coming up on Friday and then just all of the chaos in life got in the way, and it was a yeah, I'm not making it up there. It just life got in the way.
Which we've all been there of, you plan to do something and then this happens, which leads to that, which leads to something else. And before you know it, I don't have the time to go do what I planned. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss XYZ. I know we all have busy schedules that have prevented us from making conventions or events that we've really wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But then again, just this week was something else.
It almost feels like this was a full moon week of just the crazy amount of nonsense that happened, because I was on the extra list for the railroad and I went out like 4 times, which I don't know if I've ever gone out 4 times, and that's like 4 days in a row on the extra list since I've been marked up. And that's been over 9 months.
I'm about to say, and you told me you went out of your way because I asked you, with the chances of you going out were very slim to none because of how many people you have on the extra list and da-da-da-da-da. And I think we had this conversation, last week?
Yeah, and I went to Abrams. I was in NOLA on Sunday, back Monday, early Tuesday morning. Wednesday evening, I went out to Abrams. Tuesday evening was out to Abrams. Wednesday evening was out to Abrams. And then Thursday, just before I was supposed to go on my 48 hours rest period, I got called to go to Hagerstown, Maryland. And then got back from Maryland at about 3 o'clock this morning. I got home. And then it was up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and off to a horror convention in Oaks, Pennsylvania. So I can now, so next time we do a convention comparison show of all the different types, I can add HorrorCon to the list.
Yep. No, it's yeah, it's been a whirlwind. We got back last week. We got back a week ago Saturday. We got back super late, and then between the time zones, daylight savings times, and all the things, Sunday was spent basically doing not much.
And I know, Kayaa, you said that you have been busy with work and stuff like that to the point of you get home, you just want to lay down. Have you been able to keep up with any of the shows out there? I know how much you enjoy the Idol shows. Love Live Superstar Season 3 is out, and I think Idol Masters is still going. Have you been able to keep up with any of that?
No, not really. I can barely keep up with Final Fantasy 14 right now.
Funny you mention Idol Masters. I can confirm is still a thing. That was actually the big Idol show that was on display in Japan. There was I snagged a picture of an Idol Master pop-up store that was there doing a promotion. And I was surprised. Doug, I did look for Shine Post things. There was absolutely zero Shine Post.
It surprises me, but then again, it doesn't. Shine Post was just so good. But nobody really paid much attention to it. And Rob, I think you were the one that steered me in that direction.
Yep. It was a good series. It was
just
good.
A simple yep. I actually went and rewatched it again recently, being stuck in a hotel for 24 hours. I'm like, I'll just binge. What do I want to binge? Let's watch this.
I'm just gonna go through some of the chat comments. Ross said that I've even forgot about this. Ross says he saw the Overlord movie and it was good, but under the category of okay. They repeated the theme definition of what justice is. Battle was rushed, and they rushed through the brief summary. Also, they referenced the main character, but never showed them. And I'd forgotten the Overlord movie was out. Not gonna lie. And Ross, I hope you enjoyed it. Going down. Gabrielle Anna says, Hatake and Sahara, do you guys like horror shows?
I do not watch a whole lot of horror. It's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's not what I generally find entertaining, so I usually avoid it.
Fair enough.
I'm not much of a horror person. My wife absolutely loves horror, but the horror she likes is the slash them, chop them up type stuff. She doesn't like jump scares.
I'm not that huge of a horror person myself. Granted, I have watched some horror anime, but not a whole lot of them.
Some of what I watch for anime could be called horror, but more from a psychological standpoint of horror.
I can agree to that too. Because there are several that are more like psychological thriller with gore or horror-ish scenes, but aren't technically classified as horror.
And what about you, Kayaa?
Not really a fan of horror. I'll watch it, but I don't like it.
But then, I mean, we've gone down the rabbit hole of like all the different subgenres on more than one occasion. And with these days, with everything being on one streaming platform or another, there's definitely something for everyone.
Oh,
you
definitely.
just gotta find it. And in the chat, Cosplay Collective New England says, let it be known that Sahara is a horrible person, nudge nudge, who forces people to watch cute girl doing cute thing animes.
Gee, Sahara, I think we recognize that podcast.
Yeah, I think we do.
And
Hello
Lear-
to is it Lyre?
Lyre VT. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I'm not. Been lurking for a little, but would love to hear what each of your favorite genre of anime is.
Hatake, let's start with you.
It's my favorite genre. I watch so much. I watch action, adventure. I watch comedy. I watch slice of life. One of the ones that I would say got me into anime, and therefore I really enjoy the genre, especially when it's done well, would be mecha. So I love Gundam. There was a new Gundam that came out on Netflix recently that was CGI, but I really enjoyed it, especially because it was from the perspective of Zeon, which is the villains in a lot of the Gundam. So I really like mecha.
How about you, Sahara? Outside of cute girls doing cute things.
A great category there.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I watch pretty much everything except for horror genre. So it's really hard to narrow things down. However, I find at my age currently, what the shows I generally find the most interesting tend to be slice of life shows because a lot of times there's comedy involved, and I really enjoy that. So slice of life is one of my favorites at the moment. But I love mecha and shonen and everything. Well,
And Kayaa.
Yeah, definitely it'd be slice of life for me as well. It's pretty much the genre that got me into anime, and I just always enjoy those shows.
And Darren.
Oh, I have a couple different ones. Ecchi-ish was one of my sold me on anime. I mean, let's be honest. Who doesn't like fan service now and then? There were several shows in the beginning that got me to where I am now, but right now, currently, I would say my favorites. It's a tie between slice of life and romance.
And Angela.
My taste is very all over the place. I will try most things. The stuff that tends to stick tends to be anything with a good story. The first anime that I watched start to finish was honestly probably could be considered psychological horror. I do love
Fairy tale.
No. I love a good slice of life. Lately I've been discovering some good romance. But shonens and action adventure and mechas are like a good guilty pleasure.
For me, I would say I like the romance genre. I've started to get more into romance. For a while, I was big into the isekai genre. Angela's shaking her head, but I've said for many years that I'm isekai trash. I'll stand by it. There's a lot of crap out there, but there's some good isekais as well. I think you can find that in any genre out there, good and bad.
Yep.
And I'm not far behind in that.
I do like a little bit of sci-fi. I like fantasy. So I'm kind of a little bit all over the place. Not so much mecha, not horror, but almost anything else I'll give a chance to.
You guys all give me a hard time for the shonen.
Well, it's because most shonen is overrated. Not bad, just overrated.
And I've never denied that. Gabrielle in the chat says gore horror is the worst, psychological is the best. I think I can actually agree with that.
I can too.
And Ross says, Doug, there's a horror movie coming out next month that your wife would like called Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. She might have heard of that. I don't know.
And as
But I
a
will pass that along.
follow-up question, what's everyone's favorite anime of 2024 with the year coming to an end soon?
I gotta remember what all aired.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm in the same. You know what? And
I have to open Mal for this.
I'm gonna because it's
Same.
because it's fresh on my mind because of Japan. I'm actually gonna say one of my favorites for this year. It was Kaiju 8.
Kaiju number 8 was good. For sure.
That one was really good. Compared to years past, I actually think I might have watched less overall anime this year, but Kaiju 8 was one of the standouts. I think wait, was that 2020? Now I've got to check the release date of something because if Sign of Affection was 2024, then that's definitely top of the list, but that might have been end of 2023.
Freerun, I believe, was end of 2023, so I can't put that into this
Core
year.
1 was end of 23. Core 2 was 24 for Faerun.
Okay.
And I believe Sign of Affection was 24 as well.
Freerun was good. Mishoku Tensei Season 2 Part 2 was good. There's a few shows that I watched this year that I don't think came out, that may not have come out this year. Bartender Glass of God was fantastic.
Bartender was fantastic. I forgot about Bartender. Bartender was fantastic.
Like, I'm going through trying to remember the shows that I watched from this year.
I'm actually going through my anime list right now, doing that as well.
I feel like there was a lot of anime I watched this year, so it's hard to say. A Sign of Affection was very good.
I absolutely loved that one.
Alia was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Alia was very good, very funny. I also really enjoyed Shangri-La Frontier.
Apparently, go ahead, Darren.
Sorry, since y'all are on the slice of life romance track, did any of y'all watch Gigi Harem? False Harem?
Oh, Pseudo Harem? No.
Yes. The one where instead of a guy having multiple girls, he had one girl with multiple different archetype personalities.
Oh, I think I watched the first episode of that and was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
That was actually really good. I stalled on it due to time, but that deserves way more credit than.
And Ross is answering that with Grandma and Grandpa Become Young Again was his favorite for the year.
And Gabriella says, Sign of Affection.
I cannot say enough good things about that one.
One show that I just watched recently, and I think it came out last year. And Angela, I think it's a show that you were like, you need to watch this because I think you would like it. Apothecary Diaries.
Yes, that was 2023.
And we just, my wife and I sat and watched that. We just caught up. I want to say Thursday. To the end of where it's at. I know there's another season that's going to be coming soon.
Season 2 is coming either January or April. I forget which.
So I can't wait to find more for that. That was really, really good.
Did you watch all 24 episodes?
Yes.
Do you see why I said you guys would like that?
And Mama needs to get with Purple Hair Boy.
That's going to be fun to see what happens with that.
I don't know if it'll happen, but it needs to.
Mao Mao is amazing.
Mama is a character that is I don't think a lot. Like I know that there's a following for Mao Mao, but I don't think people give her enough credit for just how well of a thought out character she is.
And we've got more comments in the chat regarding this. Dana Lambda Photography. Oh, the wrong way to use healing magic was 2024.
Yes, that one was good.
Gabrielle says the Demon Prince of Momochi House.
I started that one. That was pretty good, but I think I fell off because of other stuff going on.
Ross says Elf Can't Diet was a good anime. I agree with Sign of Affection and Hokkaido Gals are adorable, as well as Tales of Wedding Rings.
Hokkaido Gals was cute.
And we've got a hi to Kayaa from Night Marie. And also from Raphael Cosplay in the chat to Hatake and Sahara. So, Monster Hunter Brothers, what's your favorite Monster Hunter monster?
Oh man, yeah, there are so many good Monster Hunter characters and monsters, and that's like, I mean, I think it really depends on game because, like, on Monster Hunter World, I would say Otogaron is my favorite, but Otogaron's not on Monster Hunter Rise. And that one, it would probably be Magnamar that I really enjoy. Those are the two Monster Hunter games I spend the most time with. But I really like the designs of the monsters and the designs of the armors. I also really like the Angerith armor. So who doesn't like a giant T-Rex?
And then Zenogre is just a classic.
I will say, while we were out and about in Japan, in some of the shops, we actually did see Monster Hunter merch, and I was very surprised by that. Because I didn't think that was a popular game in Japan.
Oh, it's incredibly
It's
popular.
incredibly popular, and they make some really good Monster Hunter statues if you're into collecting statues.
But I was surprised by how much stuff there was.
And Ross in the chat has a reverse question for everyone. What is your least favorite anime of 2024?
I'm gonna actually say I think I can honestly say anything released during the summer of this year because I didn't watch a single show during the summer season. Out of things I watched, I don't know.
Well, I think that summer season had Alia, and I think you would enjoy Alia.
Summer, my watch list was very short to begin with, and then I just got way too busy and we just didn't bother.
Do you think she would have enjoyed Wisteria Wand and Sword, Doug, since it had like a Harry Potter vibe?
Possibly, but I don't know if that really would have sucked her in. Depends on how she felt. It depends on how good she felt the story was.
Well, she enjoyed Mashal. That's the other reason I brought it up. Because you got a kid that has no magic.
Mashal was a lot of fun. One of the best parts about Mashal was the fact that it didn't take itself seriously.
Also, Summer saw 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, which is a really, really good anime with cosplay and things of that nature. Possibly Angela would enjoy because of the cosplay aspect, a little bit of romance, but I don't know if the story would be enough to keep her hooked. Knowing that she's critical for a good story. And that's not poking fun at you, Edge. It's just getting to understand your taste in anime over these few years.
Yeah, no, I've and we had this conversation largely pertaining a couple of years ago. We got this with Call of the Night. I watched 2 episodes. It was not for me, but everything you said was true. The art was amazing. The music was amazing. Just it was not for me.
Now, Hatake and Sahara, have you watched 2.5 Dimensional Seduction knowing that you guys are in the cosplay world and really enjoy that side of stuff. Is this a show that you've had on your radar or looked at all?
Yeah,
It's
we've
a
watched some of it. We're a little behind on it right now, but we have watched a few episodes.
Yeah, I would say we probably watched the first 7 or 8 episodes of it, and then just kind of got too busy to continue watching it. One will likely go back and finish at some point. It, like you mentioned, it involves cosplay, it involves the love of cosplay. It, I think, is very easy to draw similarities between it and My Dress Up Darling, but if you do that, My Dress Up Darling is a superior show. It's just better, in my opinion. I think they do a much better job in My Dress Up Darling displaying cosplay and what's going on and the love of it. But my 2.5, like it's fine. Like in my opinion, it's just a fine show. There was not nearly as much to draw me into it, but I liked it enough that I'll probably finish.
And Ross says for him, least favorite was Love is Indivisible by Twins. It's like Domestic Girlfriend, too much drama.
Now, what about you, Rob? Do you have a least favorite show of 2024?
Not really. Mostly all the shows I watch till the end. I usually only pick the ones I want to watch anyway.
I think for me, one that I tried, but really the more I watched it, the more I was like, I don't think I can continue. And I know a lot of people really enjoy this show. I've seen a lot of memes about it, but my dear friend Nokotan, I couldn't do it. It's beyond Aho Girl level stupidity.
But Nokotan was fun.
I mean,
And
the
yes, I
character
watched
is
it.
cute, but it was absolutely, I couldn't do it.
It was all over the place, and like it was one of the most no storyline gag all over the place, random. Like it was like they tried to be Gintama, but they couldn't be. They poked fun at literally everything.
Sorry, Gabrielle. Like I said, Nokotan was a cute character, but the show I just couldn't do.
I just went back to my anime list. We had one show this year that we started and didn't finish, and that was at the beginning of the year, so I forgot about it. Buchigiri. It was just the writing got so bad we were just like, nope, this is dumb. And we're watching a bunch of other shows. We're gonna drop this one.
Yeah, I can't really think of one particular one that stands out because normally I have a good idea of what I'm gonna like. I'll watch 3 episodes. Most of the time, I will continue to watch it. If I stop it, it's not necessarily because I hated it, just it wasn't as good as the other stuff that I was watching. But my dear friend Nokutan is one that we started to watch because we had heard how like it was supposed to be amazing. Watched 1 episode of it and went, nope.
but Deer and Power Lines.
You know, I'm usually the same way. Like the stuff will put on our watch list. It's usually things I know I'm going to like to varying degrees. And then if something just kind of misses, it misses. But there are certain things I'll avoid even putting on my watch list because I know I'm not going to like it based on,
99% of isekai.
pretty much. Not just isekai, but
I think reincarnated as she's like, nope, I pass.
No. Well, that's just something that, in my opinion, is so overdone right now. And I'm sure there's really good ones.
Vending machine did not deserve to be as good as it is. I will fight saying that.
And at this point, I'm just not going to watch it on principle.
Speaking of vending machine, because you brought it up and I did enjoy it, there was a vending machine cosplay at
I
AAC.
I
They
saw-
stood in
Cosplayed
front
as
of the
vending
actual
machine.
vending machine.
Yeah.
I did see a picture of that. I was excited.
That I can appreciate that.
The question was, did he just continue saying the same lines over and over again?
I believe you could I believe they had you could put tokens in the vending machine if I remember correctly.
They had the voice recordings from the show, so it was only those
Oh,
lines
wow.
what they were saying too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they were awesome.
If anybody knows who that cosplayer was, let me know. I would love to get them on the show to talk about it.
There are some people that just get so into the character they're cosplaying. It's fantastic.
Like the big question is when are we going to see Kayaa Tanuu cosplayed at a convention?
Probably never. I don't think I would ever cosplay. I'm too shy.
Well, about to say, I'm right up there with you. They've been trying to get me into cosplay for how many years now?
Yeah, but I still think you would make a great Nico.
Oh God, here we go again.
And I say no. I would rather go as the gentleman that you see my avatar being stabbed by paintbrushes.
I will say, cosplay is not not everybody is comfortable cosplaying, and if you're not, that's totally fine. But if you are somewhat interested, but you're shy, an outfit that involves either a mask or a helmet is really good way to get into cosplay because no one can see who you are. So if it's something you're considering, but you just don't want to show, you don't want to be in cosplay, that is a great way to do it. But like I said, if you're not comfortable cosplaying, totally fine. Like the majority of people who go to cons don't cosplay anymore, so it's totally fine.
I would beg to differ.
It depends on the con.
Because at Anime-Zing this year, there was like an 80% 90% cosplay to non-cosplay ratio. It was huge.
I think it depends on the convention. It felt like Anime Boston was probably closer to 60-40.
Yeah, I would agree that Boston's normally a 60-40, and I think ANYC is probably closer to a 50-50. When you put 50,000 people into a convention center, a big chunk of them are not going to be in cosplay.
But then again, how many people were in street clothes cosplays that we wouldn't recognize?
That's
I
fair.
cosplayed as a Bojangles manager for years.
I mean, there's some shows where the cosplays can be done. There are cosplays that, characters that can be cosplayed literally with things out of a normal closet if you put pieces together right.
Doug Kobayashi, minus the wig.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the easier cosplays that I've been able to put together. It was more of okay, I need to find the right color tie. I need to get glasses, specifically ones that are without any modification to them, which you can find. They're more for just like costume glasses as opposed to needing to see better. And getting a wig. And there's something that's fun when you're cosplaying a character and you meet the voice actor of that character in cosplay, especially crossplay. It was kind of neat to do that as Kobayashi.
Yeah, no, but that's from the chat. Ross, I almost forgot there's an announcement of a special anime coming out made just for you, Darren. It's called Put Them On Takamine-san.
Yes, I know about that one. I believe I'm the one that brought it to y'all's attention.
I think you did send us a message in the group chat.
Entirely possible. I don't remember.
Please put them on Takamine-san. Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
Now, here's a random question for all of you. Knowing that we are all convention goers, what is the longest you have stood in line to do something, whether it's an autograph, a panel, anything of the like? What's the longest that you stood in line to be able to accomplish, that specific thing?
I'd say 2 or 3 hours. Thinking back to old school Anime Boston, when you would have to like before they did the tickets to get in the masquerade or anything, like you had to line up and wait for like 3 hours if you wanted to get a good seat.
So, yes, I definitely remember sitting in line for a long time, like 2 hours in order to get in the masquerade. But I'll raise you one more. I attended LineCon 2008. And so I stood in line for like 4.5 hours just to get in to Anime Boston. This is the convention that caused them to change how they do registration. And I know people who were in that line for 8 hours.
Yes,
So,
we were both
I'd
there.
say-
It was a while ago. Oh, it was a while ago, so I don't remember how long it actually was. I'm not convinced it was 4 hours. It was definitely like
it was
several
4
hours.
hours.
It was several hours for sure. And we were one of the shorter waits.
Yeah.
But
Because
yeah.
we got there at 5 a.m. and we didn't get into the convention until 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah, but they don't start letting people into registration at that time period was like 6 or 7. So
Yeah.
I'm not counting that time.
Well, yeah. But I would say it was pretty close to 4 hours.
See, I just refuse to wait in really long lines, so I do not have the patience for that. There is very little I want to see that's worth that for me personally is worth that kind of a wait. I think the longest I've waited in a line is probably an hour.
What about you, Rob?
I would say, I think it was like 2, maybe 3 hours for the HoloLive panel at Anime Boston that year. It was the first year they did it.
I remember how excited you were for that.
Oh yeah.
I know that was right up your alley. And what about you, Darren?
Honestly, I've never been one to get many autographs, so I think the longest I stood in line was maybe 20, 30 minutes, and that was for Lauren Landa to sign the base of my Zenobia figure, considering that was her voice actress. Other than that, I think I waited in line longer for an 18+ panel.
Oh, that counts as waiting in line for a while. Like I said, it wasn't limited to just autographs or things of that nature. We had gone to a horror convention, as I mentioned earlier, up in Oaks, Pennsylvania. The convention was called Monster Mania. And my wife has been addicted to the Terrifier series for horror movies. And they had a good amount of the cast, including the creator, was going to be a guest at this convention. We got there at 10, got in line about like 10 past 10 for the actor who played Art the Clown. I think she got his autograph at 3 p.m. It was right around 3 p.m. that she got his autograph, and then went from that line to the line of another actress from the movie, and was in that line for about an hour before she got the autograph there. And by the time we got into the vendors area, I would say probably about 55% of them had already packed up. 40% of what was left was currently packing up. So fortunately, I was able to walk around the vendors area because we had my daughter there with us, and she had a lot of fun. Of course, me, I can't go to a convention and not spend money.
Mm-hmm.
For my daughter, got her a little Eevee plushie,
Nice.
which, if you can see it, I believe this is authentic Japanese plushies.
For one of my friend groups, I did, in fact, from the Pokemon Center in Japan, get plushy Pokemons for my friends because they all love Pokemon.
But I also went and bought a Sylveon and a shiny Umbreon due to the fact that when my wife and I got married, this is the outfits we were wearing.
So one of the things we did on our adventures was we went to, if you've watched YouTubers in Japan, there's the weird vending machine area. And so we went and we found the weird vending machine area. There's pictures on Facebook. And of course, being ridiculous.
You didn't buy the used panty ones, did you?
No. But here is a box. There's a box. Can you read you might be able to see the fact that there's writing on it.
So yep, we have Angela's screen big here.
And I purposely got it to open on air. Now, there's a piece of paper with writing on it. Let's see.
Usually that's what happens.
Oh, let's see what this says. Close that out. Open up, translate, because it's all in kanji.
Kanji, hiragana, or katakana?
It looks like kanji, but
Hatake and Sahara look like they're waiting anxiously. What is in the box?
I thought Kayaa would be waiting more anxiously to play with the box when it's done.
The problem of over-tourism, this is especially true in places like Kyoto, where foreigners, it got cut off, where foreigners have been a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of English. By building a terminal and allowing foreigners to go sightseeing there, or by setting staggered timings, we will protect the lives of residents and increase the influx of tourists. The economy will be revitalized. Will Daini Kyoto Station be necessary without spending as much money as possible? Respond to inbound traffic. That is the message on the box. And now we're going to open the actual box. Let's see what's inside. Masking tape.
Ross says, while we're waiting for Angela, who's excited for the new Shrek movie that's coming out?
There's a new Shrek movie coming out.
Shrek 5.
Well,
Wow.
they don't exactly have any new ideas that are making anybody any money.
And what we have is a box of cookies. Effectively animal crackers, it looks like. And on the back, some English. What are you looking at? A shooting star. And then a laundry list of animals that may or may not be in the box. Limited
and Roberto
to,
in the background said that cost $3.
Yep. And limited to, but not including, but not limited to, duck, eagle, elephant, first seal, duck, peafowl, penguin, squirrel, porcupine, polar bear. But yes, a box of animal crackers. And it was definitely wrapped in recycled printer paper.
I too ended up buying a mystery box. Of course, you know me. I'm the one that can go to a horror con and find an anime mystery box.
Of course you did.
Of course. And Kayaa is looking for somebody to adopt her. Darren, are you up for a new Kayaa?
Well, it's been a while since I've had a cat, so.
We might have found Kayaa a new home. So let's open this box up and see what we got. Before I go too far,
Frost says, give me a registration form.
There you go, Kayaa.
These mystery boxes, the people that I was talking to were raising money to help the adoptions of children. They also had a book series that they put out, Hellman Elementary book series. It's a mystery book series type thing from what they were telling me. For more information, you can check out www.hellman series, HELLMAN series.com. So I have no idea what's in this. They had horror boxes, they had SpongeBob boxes, they had Funko Pop boxes, they had a variety of stuff. I think they said they started the weekend off with 500 mystery boxes. So let's see what is in this. And first thing, pulling out, a little bag here.
Pochita.
Pochita bag. That's kind of cute.
Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, you didn't like that show.
I didn't watch Chainsaw Man, but my wife did. But that's actually kind of cute. What do you guys think?
That is cute.
It is kind of deep too. I mean, that would be good if you wanted to bring to a convention, keep money, important stuff in there.
I mean, I enjoyed Chainsaw Man.
In here, we also have got a plushie Sakura from Naruto. This looks like the kind of plushie Rob that you would have.
Yep. I got a lot of plushes.
Naruto is not a show that I've watched either. We have a Hunter x Hunter mystery bag flip. That's also a show I have not seen. I don't know, Hatake AZR, if you've seen that show or not.
What was the show again?
Hunter x Hunter.
I have not seen Hunter x Hunter. I have seen Naruto though. I saw that you had the Sakura. I've seen a lot of Naruto.
I've seen all three of the shows.
Let's see what we got in here. I have no idea who this character is.
Oh no.
Oh, Hisoka?
Isn't that Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah,
this is Hunter x Hunter.
It's the clown. That
the Jester. Basically.
And the funny thing is, that doesn't even show up as an option on the back here. Well, it has two mystery ones, so maybe he's one of the mystery ones. Exclusive A and exclusive. Oh, I think this is exclusive B. So maybe that's a rare one. And then the last thing that's in the box is a top figure from Tokyo Ghoul Re. So that is Nimura Furuta. So some interesting stuff.
And I was about to say they were all horror themed to an extent. I mean, Pochita, you got gore, you got Hunter x Hunter has its dark moments. I don't know about Naruto, and then Tokyo Ghoul definitely.
But I would say that was worth $60 for the box. Because the Naruto plushie by itself was $40.
Dang.
So that is it's kind of a neat box. Like I said, I've never watched any of the shows that are in there. I'm a sucker for these mystery boxes, as many of our listeners know, and I think Hatake, Sahara, you were around me when I was at Anime Boston. I'm like, do I get a mystery box or don't I? I was going to you guys for advice on if I should get one.
Yeah, I remember you love the mystery boxes.
I think Rob talked me out of getting one at AAC one year.
They can be fun. It depends on the shop that you're at, on whether or not they're worth it, I think. But I've definitely done mystery boxes in the past that were definitely worth it. They can be a lot of fun.
What I wanted to try at some point is get one of those, mystery boxes like we've seen the Trash Taste guys get from Akihabara. They
Oh,
spend, like you get the $300 or $400 mystery figure box.
Amy did that recently. They only sold so many to US. I was able to get one.
I was also able to snag one.
I
Next
can't
time
wait to
that
see what I
happens,
get.
tell me.
And Ross says, Doug, you gave your words just gave Ross a creative question. If you could make any book into a movie or show, what book would it be?
That's an interesting question. Thank you, Ross. That's a thought-provoking question. If you could turn any book you've read into a movie or a show.
Any book? Oh man. I haven't read a book in so long because I'm just so busy. So I do a lot of audiobooks now. But if I think back to
Audiobooks count as books.
if I think back to like because I read vigorously when I was in high school. I really enjoyed the Dragonlance series of books. There's hundreds of books that were written from that series, but the main ones were very good. I know they made the first one into
They did an animated movie for the first volume.
to see how well it would do, and it was not good.
the Dragons of Us Spring something.
Yeah.
I read those too. Those were good.
The books were so good.
On that kind of fantasy note, a lot of fantasy that I've read has been turned into TV or movies of varying degrees of quality. Game of Thrones. But I would love to see what they do with Stormlight Archive. Brandon Sanderson's basically big epic fantasy series.
I think, Darren, you go ahead.
I was going to say really quickly, did anyone ever read the Ink trilogy? Ink Heart, Ink Spell, and Ink Death?
No.
Okay. They made a movie out of Ink Heart, which was actually pretty good, I'm not going to lie. But Ink Spell and Ink Death were part of the trilogy, and they just never materialized into a movie. Basically, story goes, girl and father are obsessed with books, but they were forbidden from reading them aloud because by reading them aloud, they draw the characters in the story out of the story and into the real world.
Interesting. What about you, Kayaa? Do you have any books you could think of that you'd want turned into a movie or TV show?
I haven't read a book in a very long time, or even like did an audio book. And the last book I really read was this Token series, but they've already made those in the movies.
I think for me, it would have to be the Thunderbird trilogy by Aaron Kaiser Horn. Eyes of Lightning, Wings of Thunder. I forget what the third one was. It was a book. It was a book series that I found because of audiobook, and Terry Doty was who did the audiobook versions of her series, and just really enjoyed the books, and started talking with Erin herself and interviewed her a few times about the different book series she's done. But it was like, I don't read very often because I usually have the problem of I fall asleep when I'm reading. I don't know if that happens to anybody else, but I've actually read all. I think she has like 6 books out. She has two different trilogies, and I think I've got like 5 of the 6 books.
And Ross's answer to that is Magic Treehouse. I vaguely remember seeing those. Winry's in the chat. Hi, Dad.
Hello, Winry.
Really quickly, I just thought of another series. Did anyone remember? And this was around the time Harry Potter was coming out, so maybe under the radar series. Did anyone remember the Charlie Bone series?
No, I know the name, but I never actually read it.
Okay. And then going back to the elementary school, the Boxcar Children.
I read that when I was a young child. I read a lot.
I read a lot up until middle school. In elementary school, they had something called Accelerated Reader Program, which was basically there was a point system. There was like little quizzes you could take on the books, and there was a point system. And after so many points, you got little dog tags for doing stuff, and then you could get pizza with the principal or vice principal for a day or that kind of deal. I was the number 2 left on the wall when I left the school. One of my friends was the only one ahead of me.
Winry says she just wanted to pop in and say hi. Good night.
Thank you, Winry. Have a good night. Have fun in school tomorrow.
No, I mean, I've said it before. My degree is English literature. I read a lot. I would actually pull the camera and show the bookcase, but the bookcase effectively, because city living, is also the junk drawer. So I'm not going to. Ross says, I've heard of Boxcar and Charlie Bones, but never read. I do want a reboot or revival of Animorphs. I also know Animorphs. At one point, the author made the books all publicly available for free. But I don't know if that is still the case because of licensing nonsense. And Winry says there's no school tomorrow. It's Veterans Day.
All these days just kind of run together when you work all of them.
So with the reminder of Veterans Day, thank you for that, Winry. I'm going to give a shout out to any and everyone who has ever served in the military. Thank you for your service and wishing you all the best.
I think we all stand by that sentiment of, thank you for your service and, being there to try to help protect and better our country.
Well, yeah, thank you, Ross, for such an interesting, thought-provoking question.
That I love the people who tune in. They always the comments and the questions always are, they're always intriguing, thought-provoking, and some of them are extraordinary.
And sometimes we stay on a topic and sometimes we don't. And Winry says, my grandpa says thank you.
And getting back to convention talk, I'm curious for Hatake and Sahara, how is your experience as cosplay judges going to affect your work as cosplayers in the future when it comes to competitions for you? Do you now have a better idea of what some judges are looking for? Is it going to help you to rethink some of the way you design some of your costumes and armor and props and stuff? Or
Um, trying to think how to say it. Uh, it's nice to be able to see, when you're on the other side, like you're seeing, yes, what are the judges looking for? But that also depends upon the judges you have. So our advice is always research who your judges are, because you learn their specialties and whatnot, and know what to present, and how to present them. So we usually say, yeah, research your judges. Um, but I think one of the really nice things is being able to see everybody's build books when they make them. And that kind of gives us ideas like, hey, they did their build book this way. That's kind of a really cool way to do it. Maybe we should try that. You also get to see how people have adapted techniques that maybe you use, maybe you don't use in creative ways. And it's like, oh, that was really well done. I wonder if I could apply that same thing. So I think a lot of it is, we being on the judging side, you do pick up a little bit of things that could help you, um, just in seeing how other people present their stuff. But at the same time, like, you know, if you're in competition, talk to the other cosplayers. You pick up the same stuff that way too. Talk to the judges after the convention, reach out to them, or if you get the one-on-one feedback, like, we're not really gaining any advantage over anybody else, having been on both sides, but you certainly do pick stuff up.
I would say, like, getting to see different ways that build books are done and picking up things like, oh, I really liked how they did their cover page, or I really liked how they included their samples right next to the reference photos. Things like that is really nice, because when you have to read a bunch of build books in a limited amount of time, you see just how nice it is to have build books set up in a way that they're quick reference, which is really what a build book is supposed to be. Not all conventions require them. I think always having one is a good idea. The other thing I really liked was seeing how different people present, because when you go into competition, like, part of what your job is as a competitor is to present your work. And some people struggle with it, and that's fine. It takes a while to get good at presenting something. Even for people who have been competing for a long time, it can be a struggle. I know we've talked in the past about how Sahara has a harder time presenting than I do in judging. So normally I go first and then he will follow. There were quite a lot of people who did the head to toe method, which is a pretty standard. There were people who did the let me talk about what I made, and then I'll talk about the things that I adjusted. So just getting to see how people were going about presenting things was interesting. I don't know if it changes any of the way I would do something, just because of my background in presenting, but it is nice to see what the other people are doing, and how people who are at your same level are presenting their stuff in their build books and things. Like Sahara said, it's something that we may gain a little bit out of judging, but a lot of, like, in my opinion, a good judge already has a lot of that knowledge in their back pocket, and that's what you're bringing in as a judge. You do learn some stuff, like cool ways to do something, but for the most part, you're you're providing more as a judge to help other cosplayers, and you're not gaining as much out of it because you already have a lot of that knowledge.
And you talked a lot about the build books for listeners out there who might be getting new into cosplay or new into the masquerade, what is the build books, and what exactly should they look for when they want to, create their own?
Yeah, so a build book is a record of your build process, how you made your costume. Um, and so generally how we set ours up, and again, everybody does theirs kind of differently. Um, we usually set ours up with a cover page. That's not required, but what is required is reference pictures of what you're trying to make, and then um, pictures of you making your costume. Doesn't have to be every step. Um, lots of pictures tell a lot of things, but you also want those pictures to be meaningful. Um, so like here's a photo of me doing my mock-up. Here's a photo of me with the final thing. And between that, I have photos of the type of stitching I've done or the dyeing process I did. I'll have if I'm dyeing, this is the formula I used for my dyeing thing. Um, but it should be mainly photos with some bullet points kind of highlighting what you did in your process. Some conventions are going to limit them in pages. Some may limit them to a certain style of build book. But it is overall, it is your record and your proof of this is what I did. This is how I did it.
And that second part there that he just mentioned, the proof part, that is becoming more and more important, is to have proof that you are the one who has made the costume. So if you can include photos of not just the progress as you're going, but if you can like be in a couple of those pictures as well, it really helps prove that you were the one who made the cosplay. There are other things that we as judges can do to determine whether or not you actually built the costume you made. And that comes down to a lot of questionings. Like there's certain questions we can ask that help that. But having physical proof that you are the person who made the costume, because that is a requirement. You can't compete with someone else's work. And then having record of how you did everything. The short, like bulleted lists that Sahara mentioned is really important, because although we might be really interested in how you made something, quick these build books are meant to be quick references, not technical manuscripts, because it's a judge looking at it. And at a convention like Anime Boston, there's going to be 40 or 50 build books that you're looking at. At a smaller con like AAC, you might only see 15 or 20, but they're meant for judges to be able to glance down and see details that they may have missed in the quick amount of time we have with you, or for in case you as the contestant forgot to present something, which happens all the time. If it's listed in that build book, there's at least a chance that it's going to get looked at. And I bring that up because at large cons like ANYC, you only get 2 minutes. So you walk in, a timer starts, and you have to present everything about your costume within 2 minutes before you get kicked out of the room. So those build books at those types of conventions are really important. At AAC, at least this year, there were 10 minutes. So you could really like, the build book was not necessarily as important in that case because you had a lot of time to talk with the judges. But these bigger cons where you're like running hundreds of people through, those build books really, really make a big difference.
And like there's something that if we're stuck between us, like these two people are pretty equal in skill and what they did, we may have to go back to the build books and kind of look through their techniques and what they, and difficulty of what they did to make that determination. And for conventions that don't require build books, that just require a reference or a build book, a lot of times if it comes down to, oh, there's this person with this reference photo and this person with this build book, and we're trying to decide which one's better, the only one that can tell us, because they're not in the room at that time, if is going to be in the build book. So that having a build book, even if it's not required, can can give you a boost in helping a judge make a decision. We also really like sample pages. Not everyone does, but we really like them, so we can see and actually feel the material. Which, in judging, most of the time we're going to ask if we can touch things, and you have the right to say no. Um, but we're going to ask to touch things, and so we're going to get those feels. But again, having that build book, if it comes down to having to choose between two people, I can go back to those samples and go, okay, that's right, they worked with this type of material, and this is how they worked with it. So I really like sample pages. I really like build books in general.
I think that's really good information. I know I learned a lot. I'm not being a cosplayer who competes. I don't make stuff. My wife has made costumes in the past, and so I know a little bit about what it's like to make stuff, but I've never once, really knew what the build books were. And I've heard you guys talk about them and quite a few other cosplayers talk about them, but I think a lot of good information there, especially for anybody out there who's looking at getting into cosplay, and especially competitive cosplay, even if you're in the novice or beginner categories. And this is information that you should take to heart. And I know if you ever have questions and stuff like that, just reach out to any cosplayer friends or talk to people at conventions. Every cosplayer I have talked to or at a convention, as long as they are not in a hurry to get somewhere, they have to meet friends, bathroom or a panel they need to get to, they're more than happy to stop and talk to you about their work a little bit, even listen to, if you need help, give advice, stuff of that nature.
Yeah, and if you're in a green room or at what we call what we call the green room, it's typically where all the masquerade contestants hang out during or before the masquerade. Um, if you have your build book with you, so this happens with us at ANYC because of how the order of process. Everybody goes into the green room, um, or the masquerade kind of a hangout area before judging. Everybody often has their build books with them at that time, and we literally pass them around and look at each other's build books and stuff. It's usually really entertaining, and a good learning process for people who particularly work in different skill sets. Hatake and I are armor specialists, but there's a person at ANYC that we often trade build books with, to look through. She specializes in really intricate dresses. So you can learn a lot, just by asking another cosplayer, like, hey, can I check out your build book?
Most cosplayers are happy to brag about their builds too. Like, you put in all this work into making something, you want to talk about it. So yeah, most cosplayers are super friendly and will be more than happy to talk to you about how they made something or a specific technique. And sometimes you get a answer way more detailed than you were expecting.
Yep. No, being on both sides of that, from being the one in cosplay who was approached by somebody, and also just being the one to see somebody's cosplay that I was super impressed with. Most people, so long as you are respectful, are super happy to just nerd out with you about the thing.
And I'm curious, after having this experience of being cosplay judges, is that something that you want to continue doing? Would you want to judge at other conventions?
Absolutely. I think I had some of the most fun I've had at a convention in a long time by doing the judging. And I'm not saying like I enjoy going to conventions, like even to compete, I enjoy going to conventions. But there's this level of stress on you when you're competing, and you're also kind of locked into the routine that was assigned to you. And there is a routine as a judge because you spend most of your Saturday sitting and judging. But I had so much fun working with the staff at AAC, the masquerade coordinator, working with Sahara, obviously someone I'm used to working with, but as well as Stars of Cassiopeia. She was amazing to work with, and all of the support staff there. Like, I had so much fun just sitting and judging and talking with other cosplayers and getting to look at their work, and then getting front row seats to the masquerade because we're judging the masquerade. Like, it was honestly a really, really good time. I couldn't have asked for a better experience as a judge, and it's something that I would totally want to continue doing. I still enjoy competing, but especially the small cons where it's a lot of like up and coming cosplayers, having a chance to work with them and kind of give them advice is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. Um, he said it really, really well. We enjoy working with young cosplayers, with for cosplayers, people at novice and journeyman level, of course, as well as masters level. Um, it's a lot of fun. Um, there is a bit of stress of it because you are making decisions about who's going to win and not win. Um, but it is, it's just a lot of fun. You are very busy, which I don't mind because I need to be kept busy. That's one reason I love competing. Competition takes a lot of my time. When I go to a convention, I'm not competing, I'm not judging, I'm not a panelist. I sometimes don't know what to do with so much time on my hands. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would love to continue to judge um, at AAC, at other conventions, wherever I have the chance.
And switching gears now, Kayaa, I know that, like you said, you've been very busy. Have you been able to keep up in the VTuber world with any of the VTubers? I know that you had messaged me not that long ago about Megan Shipman now has a VTuber model. I've been able to actually catch a couple of her streams live. Is there any other VTubers that you've been watching that you want to throw a shout out to?
Mostly just VTubers I met through my rigger. Just other VTubers I know, like Night Marie's a VTuber. Lyra was a VTuber that came in the chat today. There's Lacey Powder Wings, a new one I've been watching. Was a bunch now. Hello. It's just basically go.
Oh, go ahead.
Just basically all like ones that I just meet through other VTubers, and there are a lot of smaller VTubers, not really ones that are very big.
I have to ask, did you watch the VTuber Legend anime?
I watched 3 episodes and kind of dropped it. It was okay, but I couldn't stick with it.
It was very off the wall and out there, but I think that's what I enjoyed about it, was the fact that it was just so out there. It was kind of like an exaggerated extreme circumstance that led to somebody's success. But one thing that really stood out to me about the series was the fact that you never got to see what the people looked like that weren't VTubers. And the only thing you saw of the VTubers was their model. So that's one thing that I kind of gave a lot of respect to, was the fact that the series, the creators understood that a lot of VTubers want to keep their identities hidden, and so that's what they did in the series. If you weren't a known VTuber, you were basically just cut an index card into a stick figure or person and just have them walk like this, and that's all you saw throughout the series, unless you got to see the VTuber model. So that I thought was an interesting spin on it. I don't know if anybody else had watched that series or not.
The VTuber series, Sahara and I did watch it to a point. I think we got to like episode 6, and then it started getting really off the walls, and I couldn't handle it anymore. Like, I knew going into it with episode 1 being the way it is that it was going to be a weird show, but it was funny. And then it just started getting really, really weird, especially around like episode 5 when they introduce. I think episode 5 is when they introduce like a new
baby.
generation of VTubers.
The
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, and
A
I was
lot
like,
of people are like, I can't do the I
Yeah.
pushed beyond that one, and it actually did get pretty good. I did like the last couple of episodes. And I know I kind of contradict myself with how crazy that show was compared to My Dear Friend, and I gave My Dear Friend about a 4-episode trial and was like, I just can't keep going. But I finished VTuber, so figure out my sense of humor.
You don't have one; it doesn't exist.
I have one. It's just very
I'm
sick and
s-
twisted.
I'm sorry you set yourself up for that. I jest.
Monty Python. That's all I'm saying.
I will never not laugh at Holy Grail. That being said, I think this proves the point we've hit home many times over of it really does depend on what you're in the mood for at that moment in time. And there is always going to be an anime for anyone who wants to watch it. But
Ross in the chat says, since Angela is back, wanted to let her know that Go Go Loser Ranger is getting a season 2 in spring.
And also Deadpool and Wolverine will be on Disney Plus on Tuesday. Go Go Loser Ranger was a fun anime. Good is kind of pushing it. I enjoyed it a lot. But as far as like monster-ish animes go, I enjoyed Kaiju number 8 a little better. Because those two were airing at the same time.
I beg to differ, Ross.
Ross, we can agree to disagree.
I was just going to say that. We can agree to disagree. He does not find Monty Python funny.
Some of the sketches are not. Holy Grail, however, is a classic.
And there are some classic flying circus skits.
Before we go too far off topic, I actually do want to bring up something I learned during my trip to Japan. Japan does not really... Japan, comparatively, does not do the convention thing at all. That's very much a Western thing. And so subsequently, some of the Japanese guests, the management folks don't necessarily understand why people would be interested in seeing the guests. They don't understand how popular the anime culture is outside of Japan.
That's kind of a neat thing to hear. I think, as you know, us here in the United States, where we are in many cases oversaturated with conventions, because every weekend you can find a convention somewhere. And there's a large demand for the entertainment, the voice actors, well-known cosplayers, media people, whether it's creators, writers, artists, whatever the case may be. We're so used to that, Western culture here in the U.S., Canada, things of that nature. So to hear that, Japan's not used to seeing that. And I know that they have a few events in Japan, but I don't know to what scale or how they compare to the U.S.
And no, in the chat, conventions are like expos.
Yeah, they're very different. I went to Anime Japan in 2017. So they have like two sides. One side's just like you can buy stuff. The other side's more the industry. And it's all it is industry. Like I wouldn't even go over there because it's just the industry. So it's all business related.
So more like what E3 was in its early days.
Yes.
And that was one thing I learned, and that was very interesting to learn.
And did you learn that from our friend Lady Beard?
Yes.
which I am jealous that you were actually able to make that happen. I'm excited that you were. I was surprised when you sent the picture being like, yep, we were able to meet up dinner time. I'm like, you lucky son of...
He did say hi to you, Doug.
I have been meaning to send an email out just to say hi and see how things have been going for them. I also know that they were recently on a baby beard tour in Germany.
Yep, they were on tour.
Hatake and Sahara, were you able to see them at Anime Boston at all, or?
We were only able to see them during the opening ceremonies.
They put on a really good concert. Lady Beard is such a big personality, but such a cool guy to talk to. He is somebody that, regardless of the fact that he is who he is, I would want to just hang out with and talk to him because like life experiences that he's had is just really cool.
That is exactly what happened. It really was a dinner of just it really felt like old friends who haven't seen each other in 8 months, just going out to dinner and catching up and talking about everything and nothing.
And did he enjoy Roberto's company?
Yes.
Was that brought up?
No.
For those of you who didn't see the episode of when we had Lady Beard on the show, Angela's husband was seen in the background, and Lady Beard just came out with Roberto, talking about him in the background. It just kind of gave him a name.
And it stuck.
And, of course, some of our friends were in the chat, including Julia Coelho. And of course, she has run with that for quite a bit. And
yep.
I won't let it die either, because that's what I do. If I find something funny or find something good, I will just keep. I'm like David Letterman. I will butcher it until it's dead, and then use it for like another 6 months.
But yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing that happened. We also if you go through the pictures, there's also a picture of us with Tokyo Portfolio, another YouTube channel based in Japan that we follow.
Lucky.
You should have told him that he needs to come on our show. Try to get more of the Japanese people to come on, because it would be morning by the time that we do the show. It'd be 9 a.m.
No one from the Abroad in Japan universe was there when we went to Lost Bar. However, I did take a bunch of pictures from Lost Bar. And Ross in the chat says, question for Kayaa as Neko VTuber. Do you like head pats? I know some cats don't like head pats and wanted to ask.
Yes, I do like head pats.
You like head pats? Do you like your ears scratched?
Yep.
And now, Hatake Sahara, I think I've introduced you to Rob before. I don't remember, but I think you guys have met. Granted, Rob, you may have seen them in cosplay.
There's a good chance. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or this could be the first time you guys are even talking, but as
your
people
panel, right?
What was that?
Right after your panel, right? I'm pretty sure.
So.
I think it was right after your panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is entirely possible. Darned if I know. I know I have seen everybody. I think the only person right now that's here that I have not met in person is Darren. Eventually, we'll fix that.
We will figure out a way of either getting Darren up for like an Anime Boston where he can meet everybody, or we will just randomly show up at his house unannounced and just have a party. try to get Hatake, Sahara, Kayaa to come down too. Maybe get Lady Bear to fly over from Japan. You never know.
That now I'm trying to remember. Allegedly, I heard this is mostly for Kayaa. Rumors that there's going to be a Final Fantasy related something at PAX East again next year.
Yes. Well, they usually have something every year, right?
It depends. Usually, it depends on what's being released when.
Because I know we're getting a patch Tuesday. Because they just released the expansion this year. We get 7.1 is coming out this Tuesday.
But also, PAX East is late next year. Actually, both Anime Boston and PAX East are in May next year.
They might announce the stuff about Beastmaster, the extra jobs. That hasn't really been talked about yet.
That is entirely possible.
Because Anime Boston is like end of May, 23rd through 25th.
It's Memorial Day weekend. And PAX East, I believe, is 2 weeks before.
That sounds about right.
And actually, on that note, have you two been to knowing that some of your favorite builds are Monster Hunter? Have you guys been to PAX East at all?
It's never fit into our schedule before.
Yeah, it's one we've talked about doing, but knowing that we're generally competing at Boston, we normally don't have time to do PAX East. Especially if we were going to compete at PAX East, we would need an entirely separate outfit because we wouldn't be able to do the two.
I don't think there are cosplay competitions at PAX East.
Okay.
So much as it is the cosplayers end up being stopped nonstop by both convention goers and in some cases industry guests, depending on the content.
Yeah. It's definitely like I said, it's definitely one we've talked about going to. It is hard for me to go for the whole weekend, considering I'm a teacher, but could definitely probably do a Saturday.
And I'm seeing here for the dates for PAX East. If anybody's interested in attending it next year, is May 8th through 11th, and it's at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center.
More colloquially, the BCEC.
Also, I want to throw, since we are talking about upcoming conventions, I want to throw a shout out to Sam Chase, who is the owner and creator of Saratoga Comic-Con. They are celebrating their 10th year this year. And that con's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks up in Saratoga, New York. So if you're able to make it out there, Sam has put on conventions for a while. We've had him on the show in the past. When he did ChaseCon in Saratoga Springs, that was the first convention that we ever had a table for AZR and Casey Creations. So, I just want to throw a congratulations out to Sam for 10 years of Saratoga Comic-Con, and hopefully they have a amazing time. Our good friend Jay Morris is going to be there. I've seen a lot of different guests announced, so definitely if you're able to make it out there, check it out. He usually puts on a really good con, has some really good guests there. Like, as we mentioned earlier, oversaturation of cons, something every week.
It feels like that. My last event for the year is PAX Unplugged, which is in Philadelphia, December 6, 7, and 8.
Thanks for reminding me of those dates, because I may try to take a personal day off so I can try to get out there to get that figure to you.
Yes.
Since I do have it from Darren.
But that is a tabletop and board game event. Literally anything that has to do with any kind of game other than screens.
Ross in the chat says Hatake and Sahara cosplay right now is amazing. You guys look like twins.
Cosplaying as each other since day one.
Sahara doesn't know what to make of that.
I had I had a little bit of a laugh at that, not gonna lie.
I thought that was really, really good, so that's why I had to say it. Ross also says gives head pats to Kayaa for doing their best and staying strong in life. So our awesome listeners out there giving you guys lots of love, and you know, I know we're almost out of time. I can't believe this 2 hours has gone by this quick.
I know, right?
But I want to thank Kayaa, Hatake, and Sahara for coming on and hanging out with us tonight. As we always do, we want to give our wonderful guests a chance to promote themselves, any events that coming up, anywhere that you can find them. Hatake and Sahara, we will start with you. Anywhere that people can find you or anything coming up, including your podcast.
Shameless plug time.
Sure. So on Instagram, we're HS_cosplayers. Facebook, we're Hatake and Sahara Cosplay. We also do the Cosplay Collective New England, which is a podcast made of 6 cosplayers that can be found anywhere where you can find podcasts. Next convention we know for sure we'll be at is Anime Boston. We may try to get to something in the early spring since Boston's not in its usual spot. Hatake, anything I'm forgetting?
No, I think you hit it all. Like you said, check us out on Instagram, Facebook. If you like podcasts and you like learning about different cosplayers, hearing interviews with cosplayers, talking about anime reviews, all sorts of different things. We've done King Richard Fair reviews, other Ren Fair reviews. Definitely check out the Cosplay Collective New England. Literally on any platform for podcasts.
And Kayaa.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch at Kayaa Tanuu. I'm on X, same name, Kayaa Tanuu, and I'm also on Blue Sky as Kayaa Tanuu. But I mostly just stream Final Fantasy 14 and some Minecraft when I do stream.
I have to ask, knowing that you stream games, have you seen that trading card shop game that teach you?
Yes, I am addicted to it.
Thank you. I'm
stop
not the
playing.
only one. I am not the only one. I haven't played it in a bit because my work schedule has not allowed me to. But I have streamed it a few times. It is very addicting. It's very close to Pokemon. I know Darren joined me for a couple of times when I streamed it, and it's fun. It's addicting. I think it's something that saves me from spending hundreds of dollars on buying Pokemon cards to be like, I'm trying to get that, holographic Charizard. I want that $1 million card that doesn't exist. But definitely, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Of course, thank you to Darren and Angela for being the awesome co-hosts that they are and helping us out every week with stuff both on air and behind the scenes. Thank you to all of you amazing viewers and listeners who tune in every week, whether it's here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or you're listening to us after the fact on any of the podcast platforms. It really means a lot to us for the support that you've given us over these last 10 and a half years. And it still amazes me when I think about I've been doing this for a decade. And I know like Hatake and Sahara have been there from just about the beginning, as has Darren. Rob, we made friends with along the way. Angela, we've made friends with along the way.
Thank you all for being awesome and so supportive. It's been a fantastic journey thus far.
And Ross brings up a game. They said, speaking of games, there's a game coming out in February that has a lot of English voice actors playing objects that turn into people for you to date. It's called Date Everything. So that could be the next game that Kayaa can stream. I see a shake of the head. No.
I know someone that will probably stream it. I probably won't.
Is that a type of game Hatake Sahara would play? The
Not
shake of
into the
head.
dating sims.
On that lovely note,
Thank you to everybody for tuning in this week. Until next week, when we have more Anime-Zing Radio, stay safe, keep enjoying the shows, and we'll see you again here for more Anime-Zing Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Have a wonderful week, everyone.
bye everybody.